Hey there, it's Kim from Not Consumed, and today I want to talk to you about circumstances. It's week 3 of our Contentment Challenge, and so far we've talked about stuff, and we've talked about being content with our needs versus our wants, and we're going to move into something deeper this week and talk about your situation or your circumstances. I'm really excited to share this with you today. I have 6 practical ways that you can be content with whatever your situation is. And I'm going to share those with you in just a minute. But before I do, I would love for you to answer today's question. And I'm super excited. We're going to have a giveaway today in this video for today's question. So in order to enter the giveaway, and I'll share with you in a few minutes what you're going to win, the question that you need to answer is really easy. It's just your favorite color. So if you'll just share what your favorite color is in the comments, that will enter you to win or to have a chance to win the thing that I'm going to give away that I'll tell you about at the very end of the video. So, okay, so let me move back. I mentioned that we're talking about circumstances and being content in your circumstances. Now, I just want you to know, if we have never met before, that this is a topic that I feel super, super qualified to talk about. Not that I'm excited about being super qualified, but I have personally walked some of the craziest circumstances in my life that you could imagine. Little things like, I call these little things, and for some people they're not, but smaller things like just getting diagnosed with celiac and needing to be gluten-free, which happened to be 2 days before my youngest son, who is 7, was diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor. So circumstance number 2, I've had multiple miscarriages. I've had many job losses. We moved across the country. I have been to court now 4 times, trying to fight for the rights of my kids. And so I've been through a lot. But I'm here to tell you that, first of all, the smile, it's really important, because your circumstances, they don't determine who you are. They don't determine what you're worth. And more important than any of that, the circumstances in your life don't determine what God is doing. It's not about, the circumstances do not display His character at all. God is always only good. So He's always only working good in our circumstances, whether they're little things like getting a speeding ticket. One time when I was trying to take my son to the hospital because he was having trouble breathing because he had pneumonia. Yeah, I really did get that speeding ticket. It's like one of those moments you're like, really, God? Like, really? Like, really? So many things. This week, even, in the midst of preparing for yet another court battle that I had to face this morning, I had to do $500 in work on my car because it's actually only a 2-year-old car. It's even under warranty, but some little valve broke, right? It's insanity. It can be insanity. Life can seem like insanity, but as I mentioned before, we're not consumed because God is only and always good. He's always working in these things for us. So first of all, if you haven't signed up for the challenge, please be sure that you do get on the email list, because I will be sending the email a little bit later, and you're going to love it. It's all about Christmas cards and being content with your family and what shows up on your Christmas card, whether you actually do them or not. So you're going to want to read that, because it's really, it's just something, it's sharing a personal struggle that I've had, but one that I think so many of us have had. So be sure you check out the devotional today. That will come out in a little bit. But today I'm going to share with you, as I mentioned, 6 ways to find peace. These are the practical things that I want to share with you that you can do, no matter whether it's a little circumstance like, I can't find my keys and I'm late for church, or it's some of these bigger things like my kid just got a diagnosis, or, my son is not walking with the Lord, or we lost a job, or we are just in financial crisis, or my husband and I are not getting along, and just, divorce, and, there are so many circumstances, and I know everybody watching this has something in mind. So with that one thing in mind, let me share some things with you. By the way, to enter, as you're coming in, if you're noticing people with colors, they are noting their favorite color, and that will be to enter a contest, that a giveaway I'm going to have at the end. All right, so number 1, when circumstances do not go the way you want them to go, you know what? I'm going to stop. Sorry. There's one thing that's actually not related to this that I wanted to show you really quick, and that is if you have been, if you're already on my email list and you've been around, this week I shared a post about our new chore cards, and I linked to it in the notes here for today, and I just wanted to show you what they look like in real life, and then I'll get back to that. Okay, so this is let me start with the junior one real fast. Okay, here's a junior chore card. That's what it looks like. I have them in these. These are actually passport sleeves, and you'll see there's a spot for him to check off some of the things that he does every day, and then there's some that he just does every week and a cool verse. And then on the back is details that he can cross off, and we just use like vis-a-vis markers throughout the week to mark those off. And then they have these cool little emoji things on their lanyard. So this is what they look like. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's the post where I talk about our new chore system. Well, it's not a new chore system, but I'm sharing it for the first time. And how to get these free printables. They're editable, is all in the comments at the top. Okay, now let's go back. As I mentioned, to review, in case you're joining us now, we're going to talk about 6 ways to be content or find peace in your circumstances, no matter what they are. Big, little, hard, small, however you qualify it. Number 1, most importantly, the thing that's kind of obvious that, I have to share is you have to know God's truth. If you don't know the truth about this situation, you can't actually see the situation for real. The best example I give of that is, you see I'm wearing glasses. I started wearing glasses when I was 12. And up until I was 12, nobody knew I needed glasses. And the day I got my glasses and I put them on and I looked out and I saw the trees. And what I said to my mom at 12 years old was, "Mom, did you know that the leaves are all individual?" She was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "No, the trees, they're not like a clump. They're like individual leaves." Now, a disclaimer, I grew up in Florida, so leaves didn't really fall from the trees. All the trees were pretty much evergreen, year round. They didn't really change very much. So we didn't see them really on the ground a whole lot. We did some. I'm not sure how I missed them, but you just don't see them a lot. Not like, in South Carolina now, I can't imagine not knowing that the leaves are individual and fall off the trees. But anyway, the point is, when I couldn't see clearly through the lens of my reality that the trees were individual leaves, it didn't actually change what the leaves of the trees were. They still were individual leaves, even though the lenses that I was looking through were not accurate. And it wasn't until I got the corrected lenses and I started wearing glasses that I actually saw the truth. Now, if you've heard this analogy before, you know where I'm going. Because when we look at the circumstances in our lives, we have to look at the circumstances in our lives through the correct lens too. These are not the ones. The correct lens to look at the circumstances in our lives is God. God has the right lens. He is the lens that you have to look through. And you have to look through God's character in order to evaluate your circumstances. So whatever it is, you have to know, well, God always loves me. He will never leave me. He's only good. He's all powerful. When you know all of these things about God and they are deep in your heart, then you know that there's no way that this circumstance is actually bad for you, because you're looking at it instead through the lenses of God's eyes. And that's awesome, right? So that's really important. Now I'll show you. In order to make sure that I have all of this truth everywhere that I need it, some of the things that I do are, I make sure I have reminders everywhere. I want to show you my phone here, if I can make it work. You see that? Let's see. Oh, the glare isn't going to let you see it. There it is. You saw it for a second. It said live not consumed. Sorry. You didn't see it very long. But I put, in the post that I linked here, I actually have a free iPhone cover for you if that's something that you're like, oh, I really want one of those. But the point is, make sure you have scripture everywhere you possibly can to help you remember this truth, whatever it may be. If you this is exciting news. We have a not consumed t-shirt that I wore every day. When my son was first diagnosed, I wore it every day in the hospital. I wore it to all the first chemos, to the diagnosis and everything. I wore this shirt that said not consumed because I wanted to remind myself that God is not going to let me be consumed. He's not going to let my family be consumed by these circumstances, right? So I wore this shirt every single day as a reminder, and I could just look down. Yes, I'm not consumed. Because of God's great love, I'm not consumed, right? So some of you are really disappointed because you thought we were discontinuing our not consumed t-shirts, and that's not true. We actually revised them a little bit, and I'm giving you a sneak peek today of the brand new shirt. This is what it looks like. And we did get pink, but we have our other colors too. And it now says, not consumed, noun, one who trusts God with the hard things. And then it says, also see also, life chooser, prayer maker, and joy giver. And it still has the verse on the back. So these are our new shirts. I'm super excited to share them with you. And they're not even out yet, but this is what you can win today. So if you want to win a shirt before you can buy it, the question to put in is, what is your favorite color? If you have never seen our shirts before, this is a new color, but we also have teal and black, but you can put in whatever your favorite color is. It doesn't have to be the colors of these shirts. This is our black shirt. It looks like this. It's charcoal. These are super soft. And this one is new also. If you haven't, if we're Facebook friends, you've seen this already. This is our sibling shirt, and we're excited to have this out this Christmas as well, with some really fun things for siblings. So be on the lookout for those. Okay, so that's number one. Know the truth. Remind yourself. Wear it. Put it on a bracelet. Whatever it takes, so that you know God's truth in the situation, and look at the truth, at the situation, only through the lens of God's character, not through what it looks like to you. Number two is count your blessings. I love this hymn. It's always been my favorite. That's why we have a hymn study about it, right? But it's so much more than that. This isn't just about counting your blessings. It's about looking at everything and every situation that you're in and saying, wow, these are the good things. These are the good things in my life. And even when things look hard, they're still good things. And I feel like my son is the best example of this, because he goes to chemo every single week, and there are bad things that happen. I don't even have to tell you all the bad things that happen at chemo. You know, he gets blood draws. He has all of these things that happen to him, but he gets so excited about the snack cart and about seeing his friends, the nurses, are like his friends. And, sorry, dog bark. And, you know, he just loves chemo because he's looking not at the things that aren't so great that the rest of us would think, wow, really? He's looking at the really good things. And so I would encourage you, if you've never done this as a family, you know, consider going through the hymn study, or consider keeping a notebook, just writing down, because we forget all of the ways that God is really faithful to us and all of the blessings He's given us, even in the hard things that we face. Okay, number three, talk often. This one's for your kids. You've got to sit down and talk about the situation. And really, some of you probably, I need to sit down and talk about the situation. Like, I just need to. I need someone to listen to me. They don't have to say anything, but I need them to hear what I have to say so that I can kind of like talk the truth into myself, if that makes any sense. I'm preaching it, is really what I'm doing. And your kids need this too. They need the opportunity to be heard. They need the opportunity to hear, you know, to express what they're feeling. But more importantly, when they express those things, we as parents can step back and say, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Now I might need to address this, and I might need to help them here, or get them some help here, or whatever it is. So talk about things with your kids. Don't hide circumstances in your life from your kids. They know if grandpa's dying. They know if you're getting a divorce. Way before you tell them. When you hide them, you don't give them the chance to talk through what's really going on with them and how they're feeling about it, so that you can help them. So don't do that. Number four, Read biographies. I didn't pull any over here. We have so many. But for some people, they think, oh, well, I've only got a few little circumstances in my life and I don't have much. So I feel like, I'm being consumed constantly with little stuff. And I get emails like this all the time where people will say, I thought my life was really bad. And then I read one story that you wrote and I thought, well, okay, maybe it's not so bad. That's what I love about biographies, because when you start reading the biography of somebody like Corrie ten Boom, who is, in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, you're like, okay, my life's not so bad, right? So this has been a beautiful tip for us. It's something our family has loved, and I think I've linked to it in the post. I've linked a couple of our favorite biographies, so you can read about that. Number 5. Create a routine. Now, this is one of our tricks that we started with chemo, and I wish I had done more. So when you're facing something, particularly when you're facing something that's kind of reoccurring and comes up a lot, you want to create a routine that will help you to kind of get through it. So remember when I said when we first got diagnosed, I wore my not consumed shirt like every day. That was kind of part of my routine. It was something where I could always look down and say, that's right, I'm not consumed. God's got this. He's in control, right? What we have done for chemo is we have a routine on the way as we're driving to chemo every day. We don't go every day, but every day that we go, we pray. And then we have a special music. It's a playlist that I've created in Apple Music, which is what we prefer, but you can create one anywhere. And it's just a list of all of the this just music that really encourages us and builds us up and helps us to get ready in our hearts for this thing that we're doing, chemo. And it reminds us how much God loves us. And that's been a huge part of it. I think that when kids especially, but even adults, when we face circumstances that are hard for us, the more familiar something is, the better. So wearing that same shirt, having that music that's always the same, it's a comfort, even in the storm of something that's not so comfortable. So that's made a big difference. My Luke wears the same chemo shirt every single week. It's a button-down Minion shirt that we got at Kohl's, which was like an act of God because he loves Minions so much, but he's got to have a button-down shirt so they can access his port. So we've loved that shirt. We've just loved it, and it is like a comfort thing for him. He wants it on every week. It doesn't matter if it's dirty or wrinkled or whatever. Like, he wants it. Number 6, help others. Now, this probably seems counterintuitive, and I get that response from people all the time. Whenever life is rough, whenever you don't have enough financially and you're struggling in your marriage and you feel like you're about to drown, how can you help someone? Well, actually, this is the perfect time to help someone, because when you help someone else, your eyes are now on someone else instead of your miserable circumstances, right? So if you can step outside of that, suddenly you're like, oh, there's lots of things for me to do here. I can do something for someone else and not wallow in what I'm really struggling with. It doesn't have to require money, right? One thing that we've created, this is the Random Acts of Christmas Kindness that we created last year. If you have never seen this is one of our favorite things to do. My kids look forward to it every year. I'm going to share a lot more of it in a video later so you can see exactly how we do it. But essentially, there are cards, all kinds of cards of things that we can do that are very small, that are totally random, that nobody really knows that you're doing. Little things like leaving quarters at the laundromat for the next person. Real simple. Doesn't have to even cost money. You can find something from your house to use. And we use these cards to encourage us for ideas, really, because you don't have to do them. And then we have these little cards that go with them that say, you've been racked, and we leave it, and it has a Bible verse on there, an encouragement for the person, so that we can share God's love with them and do something kind, but not be recognized for doing it. And we love it. It's a kind of our favorite thing to do at Christmas. The post that I mentioned has a link to these. They're free printables that you can create. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go over this in a video a little bit later too. so that you can kind of see exactly how we use it. It's one of our favorite things to do every single year. My kids count down the dates. So if you're looking for ways to give back to others, definitely do that. If you want a more consistent way to give back to others, we have a bingo that is the same type of thing. It's more of a random, it's a little bit less random, but it's the same type of thing. And it's located in one of our free printable packs, the family discipleship one. So you can find that at notconsume.com/free. And pick the discipleship one, and that's actually where you get the chore cards too. So now, I mentioned I was going to give away a shirt. It's going to be one of these Not Consume shirts, like this, but not necessarily pink. You can pick your color and size, and as I mentioned, you can't even buy these yet, so one very lucky winner is going to get this. What do you have to do to get it? All you have to do is comment your favorite color. So in the comments, please just type in your favorite color and you will be entered to win. I think we'll give it away. Today is Monday, sometime later this week. I should tell you, I'm not sure. We'll give it away. Sorry, barking dog. We'll give this away later this week and I will let you know. Thanks for joining me today, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.